All right. Now, I know we're supposed to be doing Leviticus. Oh, surprise, I told you. But first, let me just talk to y'all for a minute. This week we're gonna talk about this, and then I'm gonna start getting on Leviticus. I know I am. I've been lazing around a little bit, but I'm gonna get on it. Now, I just want to talk about one verse today and try to convince you all to do something for me. Help me out just a little bit. So, the verse is from Matthew chapter 28. I guess you already know where I'm going. It's verse 18 through 20. Let's go 18 through 20 just for the sake of it. It says, Jesus came near and said to them, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the end of the age. So, that's Jesus talking. This is a HCSB Bible, but same verse makes the same thing in whatever version that you read it in. But that's Jesus talking. He's telling his disciples, go out into the world and preach the gospel. Now, my question to you is, what do you think that verse means to you, Hey, we're not the apostles. We weren't the ones that were supposed to go out, are we? We're still disciples of Christ, so we still should do what he tells us to do. And so that brings me to my next question. Why? Well, I don't know you all the way, but, why haven't you? If I were to take your phone right now, go on your social media pages, how many verses would I see? Now, this is not to condemn you in any way, because, sometimes, hey, maybe I just want to post pictures of my wife or of my family or something like that. I use social media to look at memes and just share things that I find funny. But because we're supposed to live our lives separate, holy, people be able to recognize who we represent, does your social media represent Christ? Now, there's some people who, try to avoid certain social medias because they say they're wild and other ones are not. But I'm encouraging you to actually get on all the social media and do what you got to do. You don't have to be the world's greatest poster. Neither do you have to get the most views in the world. I don't get the most views in the world. Nobody does. If you got all the views in the world, what would you use them for? That's another question. See? So my main reason for making this video is to ask you a question. Number one, if you're on TikTok, do you use it for the glory of God? Do you even post at all? If you don't post at all, what can I say? But do you use it for the glory of God? Number two, if you don't have TikTok, I don't care about your age. No matter what age you are, you should have TikTok. Why don't you have it? I've heard a lot of people, we'll call them Facebook people. Why? Because they have Facebook pages. They probably even go on YouTube all the time. But they say, hey, I'm not getting TikTok because TikTok is another animal. It's crazy. It's hard to get. Well, one person told me that it's very unholy. There's a lot of unholy stuff on there, even though, TikTok shows you a lot of stuff. You pick what you want to watch, you pick what you don't watch, and they learn you from there. And my thing is, but you're on Facebook. And I say, but you're on Facebook because Facebook is a lot more messy than TikTok ever was or ever will be. Every social media has their downsides. Facebook, stealing your data, I guess, or whatever you want to say. They got in trouble for it. But every social media has their downsides. Every social media has issues and problems that, if not addressed, they, you can find excuses for why you use one and not the other. But I've really been trying to push and imperatively said that people who are older need to get on these social medias. If you're over the age of, if you're over the age of 30, you know what, let's go 40. If you're over the age of 40, you should be on these social media platforms. And there's two reasons why. Number one, a lot of people ask, why don't young people go to church and things like that? They come to me and ask that question, like I'm supposed to know. I've been in church too. We're all in church. We wonder why people are not hanging out with us. But you expect me to know about my peer group without knowing anything about my peer group. And to that I say, if you want to learn about young people, you need to be where young people are and hang out with them and get to know them. So that's one reason to get on TikTok. See what young people are seeing, know what they're knowing, hear what they're hearing. Number two, everybody has an amazing testimony. The older you are, the more you've been in Christ, the more solid and firm your foundation is, and the less likely that doubt will set in from what others are saying to you. And so with that, I say, share your testimony, not only on Facebook, or even if you don't even do that, but also on, TikTok, because why not? You're saying that TikTok is crazy. I don't want to be on there because it's a young people app. Think about if the disciples thought that way. James, John, and Peter. Well, first off, James got killed by King Herod, but that's another story for another day. But John and Peter went to the synagogue and healed a man who was over the age of 40. And the Pharisees was like, don't do that no more. We gonna do something to you. But they didn't beat him because, they didn't want to get in trouble with the people because a miracle had just happened. Imagine if John and Peter said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to deal with these people anymore because it's crazy. Paul went all around the ancient Roman world to places where people were sacrificing to idols in the town square. Did he say, you know what, since they're doing this in the town square, all us Christians are going to avoid the town square? No, they went into the town square and preached the gospel. So my thing is, if TikTok is so evil and if TikTok is such a bad thing, why avoid it instead of using it as a tool for evangelism? And that's my question for you. Why are you saying, hey, I'm going to avoid TikTok instead of using it as a tool to evangelize to younger people who you already know are on there and to other people who may be on there? If you're really eager and worried about the younger generation not knowing Christ, why aren't you where the younger generation is? If I'm worried about the people of Sri Lanka not knowing Christ, why would I be worried here when I could be doing something there? And this is real easy. If you're on Facebook watching this video right now, you already have the ability to get online. You already know how to search things up. You already know how to sign up for social media. You probably even know how to post. The difference between TikTok and Facebook is minimal. The only difference is instead of looking at posts and messy posts at that, I should say, and sharing those, you can repost videos and create videos of your own talking about important subjects. And then this is to people who are already on TikTok, because you might be watching this saying, okay, you're talking to me. What does that mean for me? Here's my only thing to say. I think that each Christian person should, if they have a social media page, at least post a verse once a month. Give people something to look at that's not mess. Especially people who share memes a lot. I know a lot of Christian people who share a lot of memes. But if you're a Christian who shares memes more than you share the gospel, is your gospel useless or less valuable than memes? I get it. You want to be looked at differently than as a person of Christ. And again, what if the disciples, the apostles said that? You know what? I don't want to be seen as this person. If James had said that, sure, he may not have died in his early age when Herod killed him for being a member of the church. But would he have had the glorious welcome that he had in heaven? Would his name be written down in the book of Acts for all of us to remember? Would he have been one of the disciples whom Jesus loved? I don't think so. So here's my push for you and my final plea. Download TikTok, get on there, make some videos and spread the gospel. And on Facebook too, because the mess is everywhere. So if you wanted to avoid the mess, you wouldn't be on Facebook. And so I know that you're just on there to make excuses. So stop making excuses. Plain and simple. I've been holding this one for a while because I didn't know how to say it, but I'm going to just say it plain. Stop making excuses. Do what you got to do. Because if you didn't make excuses when you had to pay your taxes. You figured out how to use TurboTax. TikTok's not harder than that. You're not worried about all the mess that goes on TV. You're watching all your shows and all the things that happens on TV, the soap operas and all that. But you're worried about the mess on TikTok and you don't want to see that. You're not worried about sex scenes on your TV shows, but the vulgar stuff on TikTok, I'm gonna avoid that, but I'm gonna watch this. So it's not about vulgarity or anything. You're actually allowing the stereotypes of the social stereotypes, societal stereotypes of your age group to block you from doing a good service unto the Lord. If you were worried about your data being stolen, you wouldn't be on Facebook. If you were worried about your data being stolen, you wouldn't have accepted the terms and conditions to any of your phones or your apps or anything. But you're not worried about your data being stolen. This is class A stubbornness. And who am I to blame anybody for being stubborn? All humans are stubborn. But I ask you to make this quick change. You wonder why you can't relate to the youth? It's probably because you're not hanging out with youth. You say you love youth, but you don't want to hang out where the youth are. How are they going to expect? How are you going to expect you to relate to people that you don't know nothing about? We know about you. We know about everything that you've done. You tell us every time we see you. But you're not willing to tell us the gospel on TikTok. Okay. But yeah, that's all I got to say. If you're not on TikTok, get on TikTok, please and thank you, because, hey, you need to know about the world and all the social media that's out there. And if you're worried about, oh, I'm older, there's a lot of older people who are spreading the gospel on TikTok, because God hasn't called us to go to one generation. He called us to go to all generations. And what generation is more important? The generation that's passing away or the generation that's coming up? Because if we're looking at it how we see it now, it's cooked for the generation that's coming up if they don't know the gospel. And if the generation who claims to know the gospel rejects to send the gospel to the generation who needs the gospel, how will they hear? That's all I got to say. Because we need more Black Christian content creators. There's a lot of white Christian content creators. And there are older people who make funny TikToks. I could put some up for you. They make funny TikToks, jokes and everything. So every demographic and almost every culture is on TikTok except for older Christian people. It's like you guys lost the sauce. You started spreading the gospel when you were younger, and then you got older, and you became more legalistic than you were able to spread the gospel. And I'm not saying this to be mad at you. I'm saying this to be honest. Let's just get out there and do the things that we're supposed to do. Because again, if it was actually about safety and data privacy, you wouldn't be on Facebook either. If it was actually about, vulgarity and things happening on there that's not supposed to happen, and things popping up on your feed that you're not supposed to see, then you wouldn't be on Facebook either. Facebook is full of things that are rank for our souls and spirits, but you're still on. So one last time, I say, and I encourage you to get on these social medias and use them. All right, that was Christian Boy Podcast for the day. We'll be going to Leviticus. God bless y'all. Hopefully you don't feel condemned, but you feel pushed forward to go ahead and download TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok right here, and I'll see you there. Thank you for sharing your testimony on TikTok and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with others, because that's what Jesus called us to do. And if you don't do it, are you even Christian? All right, God bless y'all. Bye-bye.